and they do it free of charge. So something like that could be done in 7th Street, at least for car jamming. But in terms of break-ins, etc., I think that's really something that's putting people off from coming back if they park on the street. And I think the car guards have a major role to play in that.
Okay, so who's involved on the 4th as part of this initiative?
The police and the Melville Security Initiative.
Also, the security initiative is made up of residents
and business owners.
and business owners. But then that's supposed to be for the whole area, right?
Yes.
But then this initiative specifically is focused on the one for the car guards and the tags.
Yes.
It will only focus on
4th and 7th.
4th and 7th.
Mainly 7th.
Okay.
There's only one car guard in 4th.
So how is it arranged and how is the split done?
It's a bit unclear for me, but I think people are helping out where they can. So I think that may need to be sort of thought about or just discussed in
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
So we'll look at that. Thank you very much.
Okay, so that's all I have to contribute. So
Just a point of interest, the car guard things for the guys with their official
Yes.
things. The other day I was filming there and I got a shot of one of them bending his jacket to his boots.
I'm sure that yes,
You know, ultimately,
right.
the idea is we know who's doing it. But
Yes. So as far as I understood, there would be a photograph of the person on that tag.
nobody walks over and looks at the guy. You know, the guy comes along, he's got his official jacket. It's his mate.
Yes, of course. Okay.
You know, it's something that...
Okay. Yeah. Exactly. Maybe a very big.
Do you know what we used to do for rock concerts?
Yes.
We used to shoot for rock concerts for MTV.
Yes.
But the MTV, a whole T-shirt would be the photograph of the person who had to be wearing the T-shirt.
Oh, right.
You couldn't miss it.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Interesting.
All right. Just to open the meeting for you.
Yes.
Thank you very much, everyone, for coming. So this is part of the series of focus group workshops that we are running, following the last workshop, the last vision setting workshop we had on the 24th of June, I think. So we've been doing this since Tuesday. We had public spaces on Tuesday. Yesterday we had movement, and today is security. So this just broadly, this is just a map that has been done by our team here, capturing all the safety elements that came out from the workshop. I'll just have Yona take us through what he has captured on the map, and then if we've got our Sabelo is working on our urban management component of the plan. So if he has any contributions to that, he'll also just add in. But this is also just to find out again from you if we've captured most of the points that came out for safety in this plan. So this will then go further to feed into the urban design guidelines or 3D models, if you choose to call them that, of the project. Okay, Yona, you can just...
Okay, great. Thank you very much. So, like Polly said, this is a visual representation, somewhat geographic in terms of a map of the community comments that came out, particularly relating to safety and security. So I'll just run through them for you. There was a comment regarding lighting and surveillance, particularly along 4th Avenue and then also Main Road and the top of 7th and Loftbury. There were discussions.
The people should just stand like closer because he's explaining the...
Okay. There were comments regarding a security network. I understand that in the community there were initiatives about security and surveillance, but they're not quite fully functional or optimized. And we've kind of positioned these positions. This is the park towards the eastern side of Melville, Main Road and Kingsway. So these blue dots kind of represent potentially little satellite nodes of security and surveillance, and they're linking back to central control room. So I don't get specifically fixed on the position of it. It's just a representation of where it could be. It doesn't necessarily have to be there. It can sit anywhere. And then
Is this 27 boxes here?
27 boxes
Just for-
over
just for-
here. Yes, 20, yeah.
So what's this here now?
That's the school.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the school. So, and I brought cookies, pens along, everybody to just draw and write on here, so really feel free. And then there was a comment regarding traffic calming, goes with safety and security. Well, traffic calming, people do drag racing up and down Fourth, and also Main Road is quite a dangerous river of vehicles to try and cross. So there was a general comment about traffic calming as well, slowing cars down, especially around the schools as well, and for the kids and people walking with kids and little kids cycling and people going for a stroll and running. Then there was also number 5 is defensible space. Defensible space talks about, there were comments about high walls, people being behind high walls, and you know, there's a concept of looking onto the street, eyes onto the street, which helps with defensible space. So if somebody is in the street and you have people looking towards you or down towards you, it helps with defending your space. People own their community and their streets. And then also that goes along with passive surveillance. And then also there were comments regarding kind of, it was called Bobbies on the beat, like visual policing, kind of people stationed along certain intersections and working on a small sector in terms of policing, visual policing, and that could also link back to the overall security network. And then number 7 was talking about this kind of a position where there's a security control which kind of manages and oversees the network of cameras, lighting, people like actual policing or security guards, and that kind of idea. So we don't want to like have a police state, but there is technology and networks that could potentially be implemented to help with the general surveillance and security of the area. And those were some of the main comments. There were also comments, I can just read off here. This was also out of the last community from the Melville Precinct Plan brainstorming workshop. Traffic calming was mentioned, Main and Fourth. Lighting, visual policing, security network, and then drag racing was raised as a big concern. People also, there was discussion around free Wi-Fi under security and safety as well. And then also there was a concern raised regarding the recycling guys, and then also the car guys, the concerns and problems around that. Sabella, I don't know if you want to add anything.
Can I quickly say something?
Okay.
Again, you are concentrating with your explanations on that side of Melville. What about this side of Melville? I mean, no reference to security. The cameras are all on that side. Nothing happens on this side.
So are you saying that you think that whatever security...
I mean, you are talking about the
interventions
precinct.
ahead- Yes.
Isn't this included?
So this was initially the demarcated precincts, and everything that
Okay.
we've captured has been what people
Okay,
have
so
told
only-
us.
Only
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
That study
So
area.
if you...
This is a
if-
study
It's a
area.
study area.
Okay.
So if you have anything that you think should be done here, we can note it as well.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
throw it out there to the community. Do
Like-
you think that there should be more
I think
focus?
on
or do you
9th
think that-
Street, with the
Yes.
people going to work and coming back from work, traffic calming there as well.
Okay.
So I think what this precinct has kind of grown towards this side as well. I think we can include comments on here as well.
I mean, because
Definitely.
this part was also added from the workshop.
Afterwards, yeah.
We didn't have this part being
Yeah.
part of the demarcation.
It literally stopped
Yeah.
there.
So after
Yeah.
the workshops, it kept coming up, and that's why we felt the need. Okay, it's important because it's also the only park closest to the area, so it's important
Because
that
I think if you look at Melville in
Yeah.
general, you've got to include this side as well.
Okay. All right. So your only concern on there is traffic calming on 9th Street?
No, not only traffic calming, but security and everything as
Okay.
well.
All right.
I mean, if you do it there, why not here?
Okay.
The corner of 9th and Rustenburg Road is quite a feeder into Melbourne.
So that's actually a template of what you discussed there should happen on this side.
Yeah. 9th and Rustenburg.
With regards to lighting and all that.
Because Rustenburg comes round here and then follows into all these roads here anyway, or not all of them, most, some of them. So including First, which is
First Avenue is a bit of a raceway down that
somewhere around, yeah.
So this is 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 1st.
This is
First.
Second First, there's First. That sort of meets up with Rustenburg, which comes further down because there's 9th, 10th.
Yeah, I think this is First. This one.
First
that
it
one.
goes as far as 9th, and then it goes to the next one, and then it's a turnaround. But I mean,
Fourth,
First Avenue is like a drag strip.
Oh,
4,
okay.
3, 2, 1.
You're not talking about Maldine School then, the Mal Park School then, because that's on second.
Yeah. This is the school here as
It's
well.
a Sparrow School. Yeah. Okay, it's a Sparrow School. Then you're in the right track. Then this is First. Yeah.
Sorry?
What is the geographical mandate of this precinct?
So, when we initially took out the brief, our focus was on Nordbury going up to 7th,
and
going
fourth
to
back to
5th.
Main.
We actually included 5th as well,
Yeah.
going down on Main Street and joining again on Kingsway.
Okay, so
Avenue.
that's only a section, that the mandate original was just for a section of Mel.
So yes,
Yeah.
so that was our study area. But then we have said that it's not fixed.
Yeah.
We will include areas that are considered areas of concern to the community, based on, obviously there would have to be good reason provided, like with the park.
Yeah, because this doesn't exist in isolation. It works with
You
this
have
as
to
well.
look
It's
at
very
what's
important.
happening around
So
the
I think
area as
there
well.
is room
And
to
there's
add.
more here because here's the
Yes.
copies.
So there's
Yeah.
the copies there, which we have
Yeah.
actually discussed a lot. Yeah.
Copies are, yeah.
Sure.
And also, I mean, if you think about it, although we talk about Melville, Melville does certainly go down to
Yeah.
the intersection of
Yes.
Rustenburg and that. But there's also Richmond. And I think
that
in
higher up,
reality,
it's not
Richmond is a part of Melville, no matter what the geographical boundaries that have been artificially set are. Ultimately, I do believe that Richmond really is part of Melville.
Because then it also borders Auckland Park. It's a bit of Auckland Park's also on this side of Kingsway.
Yeah.
Okay. Salvador?
Yeah.
Okay.
I
Yes.
actually
yes,
like
yes.
these remarks because when we were doing the studies for our urban management plan, one of the key things we were looking at was in terms of what exists now within the precinct, and it's quite well spread. So we've identified some key interventions that are already put in place, which would fall under what is called voluntary urban management. That means it's actually led by the community or initiated by stakeholders within the community. So examples of that, we're looking at the existing CCTV network that is done by, is it CSI?
CSI through MSI.
Yes, through MSI, and we tried to map out the locations of those cameras, and we saw that the interventions were not necessarily focused on this particular precinct. They sort of spread out. So if we're having comments that think about the larger area and how interventions that are implemented there can also be spread through to this area at the bottom, which is largely residential, but quite frankly, it also is affected a lot by the activity that happens in Melville. For example,
Down there.
yeah,
Because it bounds here, the Rustenburg Road goes round, doesn't it? It's quite well bounded.
yeah, that is quite true. So it's really, these are great comments, and I think they will have to form part of the entire plan.
May I ask, are these the existing cameras here that are
No.
not? Okay.
Those are just security, proposed security nodes.
It's kind of, it's,
The fibre side,
sorry,
the fibre cameras,
what about them?
they're part of this.
So there's a general concept regarding surveillance, so it's not going into any technical detail at this stage yet. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that could be part of,
Yeah.
if technically that could happen, that could be the case. That's already part of MSI, isn't it? I'm not
There's
sure.
cameras.
But,
Yeah.
but you can link to the system.
Yeah. These
witness there is actually looking at them after a crime as it happens.
Yes, yes, we picked that up. There was a lot of comments from the community about the difficulty of accessing footage after something has
Yeah, there's
happened.
somebody sitting there saying there's a car, a strange car, follow them, you know, so, or keep an eye on them or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, that only happens by the community that are on the list. WhatsApp groups.
So the beauty with urban management is, as you can see, the interventions that are already put in place, the idea of having a central station is already coming up quite a bit.
Yeah.
So what urban management looks at, it looks at gathering all the resources that are already there. So the people on the ground and the cameras, the patrolling cars, and combining all of that to one central station where it can all work together and be accessed. So people on the ground should be able to remotely communicate with people who are in the station or observing the CCTV and also the car that's patrolling and things like that. So the whole point is, after all of these concepts, how do we put it all together into one management structure? Because now you have all of these fragrant, sort of separated structures that exist, and it can be difficult to collaborate and try to get to a meta.
Is that because they're different service providers like CSS,
Yes,
ADT,
so,
Chubb, all of them operating in the same way?
Yeah, so that is one of the key challenges. When you have the resources existing, like in this case, but they're all spread around, it's quite difficult to collaborate and solve one problem. But if they are all coordinated and have sort of a central functioning system, it's easier to work around.
I have something to add to this. I'm not sure which of these topics it falls under, but I have 12 staff at least at night. And I know that a lot of the other restaurants also have staff that don't all own their own vehicles. I'm in a fortunate position where I hire a minibus taxi. And I put all of them on that safe minibus taxi, and they get to their homes that way. But a lot of the other smaller establishments don't have access to a service like that. This corridor here is very dangerous for anyone on foot at night to walk. So this problem is pervasive to all the restaurants, and any time that after 8 p.m. anyone needs to go on foot out of Melville, they all dread doing it. They get mugged, they get harassed. It's really a very, very big problem for all staff that don't have access to a vehicle.
Can one get that statistics where the muggings and stuff is taking place?
Yes, we're actually working on that.
Okay. And I've seen that firsthand with some of the people that work for me that for some reason don't take that bus or that taxi that evening, and they have friends everywhere in the neighborhood. So I think we could make it a lot easier for people that work in this area, especially in the food and other industries that need to exit by foot late at night. If we could establish at least one safe corridor out of Melville. And I know this is a contentious issue because you create one safe corridor and other places are maybe by inference not safe.
You need pedestrian.
Pedestrian.
Corridor.
A safe pedestrian corridor in night time specifically, because the taxi service stops mostly at 8 p.m. So you'd like for there to be something that is available that's safe after that hour, because we really have a lot of people that could benefit very directly from a solution like that. It's extremely important.
Until where do you think this corridor needs to go?
Up until this space here, or up until this space here. Yes, those are the main feeders.
So the problems are along this at night?
Yes, because a lot of people stay in Berea and other suburbs of Joburg Central over here. And here we still have taxis available even after 8.
Yes.
But definitely not there. It doesn't happen.
This is particularly bad for Monday.
Yes, exactly.
Actually, we picked this up when we were doing the field surveys, that there's busy activity relating to the taxis, and you are quite correct. A lot of people get off there. Yes, they're by the corner of Twickenham and Kingsway.
So only the people that work, it's the students that have to walk.
Oh, sure,
There's a lot of student accommodation here, and they use Melville greatly.
Yes, you're 100%. So maybe one of the ideas that we could have is to these security control points and also visual policing. There could maybe be a corridor of visual policing that culminates in a specific point where people are safe and where there's access to taxi service. So that's the suggestion I have.
I think that's a brilliant suggestion, because what it also says in a broader term is whatever plans or interventions need to come here need to accommodate all stakeholders.
Yes.
And people who work here are also actually stakeholders.
It's extremely important.
It's very important
You know,
because
we have at any one time we have probably at least 200 people working here, and many others, as you say, students, etc., which frequent some of the establishments along here.
Can I make
And
a
here on
suggestion?
Main.
Why don't we put a Trump wall around Melbourne?
Clear view fence.
And we'll make you pay for it.
No, we make it solar panels.
No, we make Auckland Park pay for it.
Sorry if I'm rehashing some of the discussions.
No,
I
go
apologize
for
for
it.
being late. I just wanted to understand, is this going to be a no-car zone? And at what stages are you going to do that? How are you going to do that? Is it going to be a boomed-off area?
So we discussed it at
Last night.
Last
Last
night,
night, yeah.
and there are three options that's going to be tested on a testing day or a period, and one of them is to close it off. And the idea is to it's going to be tested with cones and things like that.
Also between the streets as well.
And also there's between the streets. There's also an option where we
between
leave the
avenues,
east-west access
between
through.
the avenues.
But we will test an option where we close between the blocks.
Okay.
Yeah. But allow for east-west access. Yeah.
So that will also be a but that is like a temporary thing.
It's a
You'll close it
temporary
off for specific times, for instance.
So there were also, the other, I think, broader consensus that came out yesterday was that we need to accept that, or rather maybe, accept that this cannot be purely for a one mode of transport or movement area. You need to cater for everyone, walking, cycling, cars, because
deliveries,
because
loading.
there's deliveries that are involved and loading that's involved. So you need to try, yes, exactly.
Yes.
So rather than trying to restrict movement altogether for cars, rather try and accommodate all these different modes in one road or whatever.
Yeah. And it's
So-
about
That's why it needs to be, the traffic specifically,
Yeah.
vehicles needs to be controlled to
Yeah.
accommodate the other modes.
yeah.
So the next phase of the project, when we do get to discussing activation, which is what are we going to be testing for a week, an entire week, those are all discussions that we'll have to agree on, or you will have to agree on, is do we test that this road must be closed off completely? Or would you like to test maybe maneuvering it in such a way that it accommodates different modes, or maybe only two modes of transport? So that is a conversation that needs to be held and agreed on by everyone, residents and businesses as well.
Yeah, there's different
Yeah.
there's different techniques we discussed that night about the lanes and how they could work, and if these are sharp edges, and some of them might have to allow for parking, but then it's shared surfaces, maybe, and the roads get narrower, the pavements are wider for pedestrians in the cafes, but it's not restricting vehicles. People need to still offload and still share deliveries, and people in wheelchairs have to want to stop in front of the place to get to the restaurant.
It provides for universal access.
Yeah,
for
it's shared surfaces universal.
part of safety, that was also, there was also something discussed here at the school, for instance, how to deal with that road. At the school, the traffic guys will look into that, or movement traffic people also look into that as part of safety. Yeah.
And there
At the
was
school specific, I think it was fifth or what? What street is that?
It is school on second,
Something like that, yeah.
first,
second and first, yeah.
and third, because there's
Yeah,
a school on
But they're
third as
looking
well.
at that
well.
as well, to get traffic calming there as well.
There's also discussion. I think something that might be tested in terms of a one-way system.
the schools.
Along 2nd and 4th, because what that
It will be tested.
because what that allows is that if it's only one way, we can have parking like this.
Herringbone.
Herringbone Park, and a lot more.
At the angle, yeah.
And that will hopefully help to alleviate some of the parking that is happening on here and in here, you know.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Something to test, you know. But, yeah.
And perhaps we could also extend that corner of 4th and Rustenburg Road. So we've picked up also that a lot of the traffic going down to, let's say, Parktown or so, some of the people come, if they want to go to West End or some other parts, they cut through here.
Yeah.
So that puts a whole lot of pressure on 4th.
So that,
remember,
so that
this
did
is
come
used
up
as a
yesterday.
throughfare.
Yeah.
It's used as a throughfare between the west and going into
Yeah.
into the north, going to
wherever.
Rosebank.
Yeah.
So throughout this road is always busy.
Yeah.
9th Street is always busy, and then I mean they either then cut across there or they come all the way to the top and then they go out.
It's not 4th, it's 3rd that goes through.
Is it that?
It's 3rd that goes all the way to Rustenburg, yeah. 4th goes to 9th or 10th, and it's a block. It's blocked. So yeah, so only 3rd that goes straight through.
Yeah.
But you could still wind your way through. First, 2nd, 3rd, you still, you know.
Yeah.
Is this Rustenburg or not?
That's nice.
No, that is Rustenburg.
This is Rustenburg.
Ah, sorry. This is Rustenburg.
The shops.
Yes,
This
yes.
is 9.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's also a kind of
Okay.
shortcut.
And then
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. 5th Street. So
because
it's
of
this one
the student accommodation that's here, there's lots of foot traffic that comes down first. So from the main road, they come down first to get there. So late at night, I mean, I know because it probably takes the same distance to finish a beer from 6 to get to my house because all the beers are piled outside my gate. So
they kind of
a
come
big
down here.
proponent of students that go through that way.
And also, 9th Street is needs to be a bit level because as soon as a truck or something, some vehicle, I've sat behind when something broke down.
Yeah.
Because it's constant down.
Yeah.
You should have been last night.
Sorry.
Right down to Carlo Road, but you couldn't move because there was something happening
Yeah.
on the upload of 9th Street.
Is there any, was there any safety on the copies area that was, is there anything in this
yes. The copies, safety. Are there any safety
I
concerns?
just want to get a feeling on that, what
I
do
think
people...
what I can remember was around the inside. It's not safe, but it's also the entrances.
Access control.
Yeah.
Access control, but the copies on this side is safer than the copies on that side.
Why? Why?
Because this access is more or less controlled on this side, not very well, but anyway it's controlled, and that is open
Because
gate.
it's all about access. Is that what it is? No, it's about access. I remember that came out in the workshop. It needs to be controlled.
Some gates are locked and there are 2 or 3 gates left open because people complain they can't get access
So we,
to
infrastructure-wise, we need to look at that.
Yeah.
Eastern
Definitely.
So access control was done properly all the way around. It would be safer inside.
Yeah.
Sure. And then at the control point, the access point. Yeah. So that needs to be looked at from an infrastructure point of view.
And as far as I know, I mean, it's gated all the way around.
Yes, but some gates are left open.
Yeah. So I mean, it's not like you need to erect a fence.
No,
So the cost implication is just about manning those particular entry points.
Yeah, and as strong
I
as
want to
we
get to
can
that manning. That's exactly. Part of this is it's going to be put into place, but it needs to be managed. It also came out last night. It comes out, and at the end of this discussion, we will also talk about identifying people in this group, which we do in each group, to take this thing forward. You know, to like to steer it. Thank you, Label. Yeah, and it's exactly that. You know, putting all these surveillance and controls in place, it needs to be managed. Yeah, that even came out in the workshops. You know, how to control this point. Who will control it? Who will lock it? I knew it came up. Maybe one should open it at specific times. You know, something like that. But that needs to be controlled as well.
I don't know whether it's still in force, but there used to be open days. on this side,
But you
the
see-
Melville copies of this.
Exactly. That could be part of managing safe access to that specific area, then it's controlled.
And we're not saying that as the city that we are completely relinquishing our responsibility in terms of managing our spaces, but we want to do it with the community for a better functioning, but also for efficiency as well and sustainability.
I think the Koppies here is pretty, on this side I'm talking about now, not the other side of Main Road, is pretty controlled, because if one of the residents does spot something, the police come and look, or one of the security companies goes in and checks it out. If it's vagrants, they move them out, that sort of thing. So it kind of is managed pretty well. At one time it was pretty bad, with a lot of them living there.
Does this fall in the city parks?
Yes, it does.
I think what also came up from the previous meeting, I don't know, but we didn't get consensus, was does it need improved signage? Because there were issues of it's not properly branded, or you don't even know that there's an entrance here or on this road to the copies, or even inside to enforce bylaws. Do you need more signage or improved signage in certain areas?
We were talking about this, Demo was talking about these kind of gateways into it, like kind of marking it. Gate number 3.
Yeah.
And there's a seat and some lighting and a proper nice gate that you go into. There's controls and...
I'm not sure, but I think there's a committee in charge of the copies management and stuff. I'm not sure that
I know there's a lady who's in charge of it. Yes.
Is she the lady that actually stays close to that one of the gates there? I remember there was one lady.
I'm not sure where she stays, but I know she's...
I'm not sure. When he runs the walks on Sundays, and whenever there is one.
It is.
Isn't
Yes,
it? I don't know where she lives.
She actually stays close to that area.
Is drug dealing part of safety?
Yes.
It is.
Yes.
Because I know it's a one-off, but there's a white chair, 3 guys there. He's got a white plaid garden chair, and he's parked there. And I've driven past, and I see the guy walk past. And you know how they use 2 hands? This hand gives, and that hand takes. And it's there every day.
Yeah.
Is
that during day, night?
Day, night, all the time. And then he goes across the road, and the guy comes, and they go, and they walk on.
You know what they do? Sometimes call in the dogs and the police go and do raids and everything. But if the guys haven't got the drugs on them, they cannot arrest them. Chuck it in the bush, not mine. Prove it.
Surely. You have to prove.
It is so difficult, so difficult. And I mean, you see the cars stop up, further up, and the guy walks up, does the deal, runs in, goes back.
And the cameras?
No, there's no camera there.
The cameras are
No,
here. They're not
out
picking
the
up
camera
anything
side.
that's going up. And if you do, it's so little ants there,
But
it
goes so quickly.
They professional.
Yeah.
Was it yesterday when we heard that you actually have to pay for footage or something?
Yeah, you get the footage, you have to pay for it.
Okay.
So
From the private security company.
Yes.
That's recording.
On the corner of 6 and 6, I've noticed, I don't know if it is by chance or whether it's because there's a camera looking in 4 directions. And the street light there is about 3 times the strength of the street light. I don't know if it was put there because the camera is there.
Okay.
But that light is brilliant.
They work together, so to say, so you can get good footage.
That lighting lights up a bigger area, so if you look at the lighting, then the light is
But that's part of the exercise. Is
Yeah,
lighting.
so there's
That is
lighting
part of
and
That is
surveillance.
part of the exercise, sure.
So one of the key things that relates also to urban management, especially around the issue of security, is how the community feels like they own that sort of access to the security. So for example, if you're thinking about CCTV, the accessibility to that should be the same to people. I mean, you want to be able to follow up something and access that footage without a lot of red tape and payments and things like that. So perhaps as we go forward, I think those are good ideas that we should be thinking about to say, if we do implement a system that connects all of these things, how does then the community access information from that system freely and equally? Yeah.
It's so crucial.
So it should be for your benefit.
Yeah.
True. And quick and easy.
Yeah.
Agreed. What were the comments relating to the recycling guys and the car guys? Were there specific concerns or challenges?
The recycling guys, number one, they are doing a good job.
Yeah.
But some of them can be very messy. They litter more than what they actually pick up. But I've had no problems with them in 6 hours.
They're actually doing a good job.
A very good job.
You know, I think there is something that could be done in making that a lot more efficient for them as well. So, and if we want to include that, it's a case of, is there somebody that could do it in a central location?
A spot for them.
Yes. You
know,
know, and
a
position for them, and that gets cleaned out, and then you can manage it in a particular area.
I know what will work very well. Skips will work excellent, you know, because what gets messy, and it happens everywhere, is they open the bags and they just chuck everything out to get to whatever they want, and that's why it's getting messy.
There's a skip standing there.
I'm telling you, a skip or 2 or 3. If you drop the bags in there, and it will be opened there, and the stuff will be there, located in that specific area. That's just an option.
I think they pick it up though, because Pick It Up do the rounds in their own vehicles to pick up the bags, which have now been half emptied anyway. So for me, the Pick It Up collecting is actually a waste.
Yeah, because they litters go for the bags, the paper bag and the general plastic.
That's what I say. That's what I say. The other stuff is
if you throw it out into a container, it'll be quite messy inside and around it.
Don't people?
But at least you have it controlled
I
at
fight
one
with
point.
them if they do that. And in my whole section, they clean it up very nicely. Except then Pick It Up comes along, and they a lot of litter lies around with everything after emptying the trolleys.
So Pick It Up is the problem now.
So my next question is, currently when the recycling guys come to clean up, it is a first come first serve, so there's competition for the recycling. If you make it into a central point, we're going to change their business model completely.
Excuse me, what I've seen is they don't take everything, they leave some behind for the ones coming along.
No, they take the bottles and whatever they want.
But they don't take all the bottles, they leave for the next guy.
So,
They leave some. They do it in front of my house.
So if you I'm just thinking what will happen down the line. So you put it all in the central place, and the guys come to collect. It's going to change their business model.
What do you mean by central place? Is everybody going to take their bags to a central place?
It's going to be.
How's that going to work?
I don't know. He mentioned that he's going to skip somewhere.
So every resident has to take his refuse bags to a central place.
That's going to be difficult.
No,
that's going to be difficult.
It won't work.
That's going to be difficult.
What I found with the guys who kind of pull along their trolleys is actually they're not the problem. As somebody said, the problem is actually the Pick It Up guys, because in essence they just grab, shove. If stuff drops on the floor, they don't actually care about it. Where I've actually found that the guys who go along with their trolleys tend to be quite organised and quite good about what they grab. I mean, I interact with them early in the morning because I'm always out there, at that time.
Is there no initiative in the area providing people with bags for plastic, glass, paper?
We do, but some people don't do it.
Because that will make it a lot easier for the recycling guys.
You're absolutely right.
And it's also not half-ripped bags.
So you've got a program where you...
Yes, we get
a clear bag for polystyrene, bottles, cans, tins, and everything.
But most people can't be bothered.
for our plastics goes.
We've got exactly. We've got the same thing.
Plastics, glass, and tins go in the same bag.
It's a see-through bag.
Yes, we've got exactly the same system where I'm staying there. They provide you with the bags.
And it's being run.
Yes, I do.
Are you?
So it's been
I thought they just sort of localized. Yeah, it was like an experiment a few years ago, or some years ago now. So they do it for you as well.
So it's been run.
Initially getting a paper bag, putting paper in it, and all that I noticed happened happened was somebody liked that bag because it was a nicely constructed bag, and they dumped all the paper onto the pavement and took the bag.
The thing is that the people who collect the bag will give you a free bag. If they don't collect the bag, they don't give you a free bag. So once you've had somebody else nick the bag, you don't get another one.
Yeah,
without intervening somehow.
So that initiative, is it being run through you?
No, it's the municipality.
Yeah, it's municipality. Same as us.
Okay,
Pick it up actually. Pick it up does
Where are the plastics dropped off?
Outside yours.
They just chuck it there on your
okay.
grass or something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they
It's
just chuck it
supplementary
there.
to the guys that
Yeah.
come pick up the dustbins.
Yeah.
You know, then they come afterwards and
Yes.
they pick up all the bags.
Oh, okay. Because I only know of
And I know in some areas,
the
I know
bins.
in Pretoria, in some areas you have dedicated containers. Yes.
It is a recycling process initiated by the municipality.
Yeah, yes.
But you get that in Pretoria. Some of my colleagues know there's at some places there's dedicated containers, but it's like a personal thing, so you can drop off, you know, bottles in this container. It's big containers.
Dedicated containers, let's say, at this centre here, and then some down at the spa.
That's exactly what they
that
do.
Kind of thing. What happens
That's
is people going to the supermarket will remember to take their glass bottles and chuck them in. Will remember to take their paper
But
and
that's
chuck it
that's
in
what's happening there. Yeah. But I say it's like a personal thing.
Kind of has
Not
to
all
be
of people
within a
do that.
controlled space. The instant you put anything like a skip into a public place, what happens is you might turn around and say the skip is for bottles only, but people will just bring along their garbage and dump it in. I've seen this happen before.
No, sure. And you do get that.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's not security.
The gentleman wants to add something about lighting and security.
I wanted to find out if you are considering technology like drones to man certain areas, because what would happen in that type of scenario is that now you're flying a drone in a residential area.
Yeah,
so you
privacy
need to get you need to get special clearance. But the drone itself you can fly it on a lattice. So you decide, okay, so over
you
the
put the
copies,
coordinates in, and
then you map out a certain area.
you have to get a pilot's license though as well.
Well, you don't necessarily.
No, you
So
don't. You
there's-
don't need not at the moment.
there's been some changes to that, but I'm just asking, are you considering those type
Well,
of things?
we're considering security and all range of technology.
So whatever goes in.
Yeah.
Okay.
It actually forms part of the innovate part of when you're trying to put up a management plan.
Yeah.
Because, for example, something like that, if it's welcomed by the community,
Somebody needs to pay for that.
and
Yeah.
can be
Then
owned,
control
and
that,
you
manage that.
agree that you
So-
can pay and keep it running.
That will only work if there's a central camera point
Yeah.
where there's a reaction.
That's
to-
accessible and working for everybody.
Yeah.
Also
So
thinking about all the trees and that in Melville, flying a drone,
No, the drone could come
which
down
look
the
older
sea.
than me.
Yeah, because another way that that links to the question you've asked. So as part of this project, I've developed an online web GIS page, which I'm hoping to publish next week onto all the platforms for the Melville community. Yeah. So what I'm aiming to do with that is to enable people to actually note down their georeferenced comments, which can then be addressed or attended to. So how that would look like is you click on this link and it opens the whole map of the study area. For example, you mentioned something about bottles and things like that are being dropped by your house. So if you were on that page, you can just click where those bottles normally are, if they're not being attended. And you click, you put a comment. So someone like myself or someone who'd be sitting in the control center here would see that point and then push it over to the guys that deal with management to say, look into that.
You can actually map it.
Yeah.
Can you bring this under the attention of the chairman of MRA, because we have a meeting Saturday week?
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
So we would like to present our current findings or whatever we've been able to come up with up to this point at the next
That would be
AGM.
very nice.
So if you'd like a slot on the area-based management plan as well, we can include that as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
I took you up on that comment. I spoke to Paulie, and we're going to arrange a slot at the AGM.
Okay.
Based on the comment that you made the first evening.
So I've got a very general question. Has this been done before in Joburg? This precinct plan?
Yes.
Where
So this is the second one. The other one has been done in Grant Avenue in Norwood.
Okay.
So that was completed last year, not early this year. So, so it's a process. You know, it takes time. It takes time because, like as you can see, that you've got so many different initiatives and so many stakeholders or interests in an area, and trying to bring everyone together into a table and agreeing on initiatives takes time. So we had a discussion as part of the project with a lady called Stephanie. She runs a lot of the city improvement districts in the city, and she also informed us that in certain areas, like in Rivonia, it took them about, not Rivonia, close to Rosebank, it took them, yeah, I'm not sure if it's Ilovo, but it took them about 2 years to actually get a forum, a forum in place, you know. So what we are doing because in other areas what you would have is they would start on their own, like in Parktown, the community would arrange themselves to come up with the precinct plan. So in this instance, the city has said, okay, we can help in putting together this plan, but we would like you to take it forward in terms of urban management or other initiatives that can come up with it. But obviously, there will be some capital infrastructure projects that the city will obviously have to take on, but we don't want to single-handedly, as the city, own this plan. We want this plan to belong to the community of Melville. It takes time, but it's up to you. It's up to you. Yes.
It's the shortest one that she worked with. She's brilliant, that lady. I was also in that session. The shortest one took 7 months. I think that was Randburg, something like that. And the longest was Roodepoort or something, if I recall right, 27 months.
But it's up to you.
It takes time.
You know, it's completely up to you.
I think the challenge normally comes when you bring the idea of inclusivity in the plan. That becomes a problem because, for example, we've been talking about the security initiatives. So, for example, right now you need to pay CSI a certain amount per month. There's some fair attributes to it and some are not fair because you can pay for your property, but chances are your immediate neighbors can benefit from that and they are not paying. And then other initiatives where, for example, the owner of Picabella pays certain guards to patrol here on that particular stretch. He's paying it alone, but the other businesses benefit from it, but they are not paying. So in putting this together, those are some of the things that you have to think about to say, wait, if we're talking about having a security system or plan or initiative, how do all the residents own it and actually ensure that it runs? Because that's what makes it sustainable. When it's owned by everyone and everyone has equal rights to comment and make suggestions.
Yeah, but when CSS started, it all depends on the number of members belonging to that will determine how many patrol cars there will be and how many cameras there will be.
And how much you pay per month.
And how much you pay per month.
We've got, and that, you will always have that challenge. You will always have the challenge of people not contributing. We have the same where I stay. We've got a boom controlled area there. It's only a few of us that pay. Other people just don't care and they benefit. You will always have that, but fortunately, there is always a few people that really makes the thing going, and that's the positive of it.
And I think on the sustainability part of it, so when you implement something that people can see and start noticing the change, it becomes easier to then buy their interest in, to say, listen, we can improve this. For example, we're looking at area-based management plans for, I think it was in 4 ways. And what they did is they were suggesting and implementing this system of sort of consolidating these security initiatives into one and looking at extending the vehicles that they would have for patrolling and things like that. When they started with 2 vehicles and like 8 guys on certain blocks. But as people started buying into it, they extended that. And also what that does, it means now they can have more vehicles and more people on the ground and also widen the patrolling sort of.
You start to realize the benefit.
So people started seeing the actual benefits of it. And that's what made them buy into it.
And there's also the thing that we bothered to come to these meetings, but that when the plan comes, everybody will have a point of view, but they never bother to
So that's why.
What they say, if you want to win the lotto, you've got to have a ticket. If you didn't come to these meetings, don't come.
So that's why we try and protect everyone as much as possible by making it known whenever we're going to be having engagements, so that no one can, or it's not going to be easy for anyone to say, I didn't know about this. We try and provide communication as much as we possibly can.
Yeah, but I think trying to get the residents all to participate is
Yeah.
rather like herding cats, as we say.
Because we've already started distributing the pamphlets for the next big meeting.
Yeah.
We go door to door. So we put them in
a leaflet or something in the local newspapers.
Yeah.
we do that as well. Yeah.
Or the front
It's also
page
going to go
ad or something.
on the radio media.
But we try to get everybody to know.
Which Facebook pages are you?
So we have created a Facebook. It's called My Melville Precinct Plan.
My Melville East.
Yes. Now we change My Melville is.
I must say, the more I work with this thing, Melville is fortunate. No, I'm serious. To get this, but also people must understand the benefit of that. Of
You call us fortunate. Have you seen the people living here?
I've met quite a few of them now. No, I really think the city investing in this, because it's a special place. I really think residents can only start to realize that fortunately. Not all the areas are so fortunate that the city spends money in trying to, because this place is special. That's why it actually came down.
And just to add on that, so one of the key advantages with what we are doing now, like putting all these ideas together and hopefully proposing this initiative that can be sort of embodied in one system, is that it then becomes easier to source funding for it. For example, if there's certain top-up services that you want to put on the security, if there's not enough money being collected, when there's an identifiable plan and a sort of way of managing it, it becomes easier to then source for grants to help it work properly. So, for example, the city of Johannesburg has, since 2007, set up a proper support structure for area-based management structures, or CIDs, and that was initiated first for Region F, and that looks at how the city can actually even support those going forward. As Cody was saying, it's not a thing that is just thrown there and then figure it out. The city still has a responsibility to make sure that it functions. So if it's collective and it's something that can be a body of initiating that communication with the city, it becomes easier then to sort of invest in it, and also for the city to.
We have our councillor.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the councillor becomes a very crucial part of
Any
that.
problem, she gets
Yeah.
They've discussed it.
What I've actually found in trying to communicate with people about the Melville Precinct Plan is that the biggest issue is that they have a complete distrust of the city of Johannesburg and city officials.
Yes.
And I keep stressing, and I think you've probably noticed this on the videos I produce, that actually we are bloody fortunate that they're talking to us, because previously it was a top-down approach. And actually what this is a set of rules that we can use to enforce what needs to happen.
To keep them
And
accountable.
it's protecting us as
That is
residents.
the thing, Paul. You guys are very, the people don't realize that.
That makes the city really look bad.
I tried to get people to come to these meetings. I've been putting stuff together. I went out today and I said, you need to attend these meetings.
The fact that you don't be part of this now, you actually lose control of that. You actually you can take the thing in your hand now. You've got control here. That's why you guys are standing here. You've got control here to say, this is what we want here.
I mean, the thing is, after this is all said and done, you know, who has control? You know, we're talking about some kind of residents group. And you know what happens with those things? Everybody rushes out, hell for leather in the beginning. Yeah, we're going to do this. And then 3 months down the line, oh my God, I'd much rather stay at home because it's cold tonight. Sure, you suffer that problem.
Yeah, so you can go.
I just wanted to say the beauty of the steering committee is that it's not just residents alone. It's a combination of residents and some city officials. So, so it's a combination of the community along with the city that get to sit together and discuss a way forward. So it's not that it will be residents alone, and also even the residents that come along have to be representative of the different stakeholders. So businesses will have to have a representative. The churches or the schools, people that have interest in the area and are considered a stakeholder, then one representative will then attend the meetings and report back. So we try to get them as diverse as possible, and also not just from a community side, but also with a bit of the officials, so that whatever issues are discussed, then there are people there from the city side that then get to be privy to those issues and can then move forward with those issues.
And just to add on that, so for example, say a normal CID, a City Improvement District, how that would also work is once it's been put in place and the cities are aware of it, there's also some reporting mechanisms that need to exist between the city and that structure to ensure that everything still runs in order. And what that does is it allows the residents to always keep the city accountable on things. It allows for a mechanism to follow up on initiatives or projects and things like that. So there is that constant relationship that goes on, and it keeps it running. So if people were, let's say, pushed forward by the residents to say, you'll be part of this, you represent us, then they need to report. It can be decided whether on a weekly basis or monthly or bi-monthly and things like that. And they report what have been the challenges this month, what has been the successes and things like that. So that reporting structure then also allows that steering committee or structure to be accountable both to the community and also to the city.
Can I request that, I mean, I fully agree with that reporting structure, but can it start now, even in the pilot phases?
Yeah.
So as you pilot in particular things, that you create the channels for the residents to make comment on it, whether it worked, whether it didn't work, what are your metrics. As long as it's transparent as possible, then you'll start seeing people being a lot more involved.
Is that on the Facebook? Because I know our councillor WhatsApps us information all the time. Follow this link and put your, add your
so
notes or whatever.
You'd like to see the city's policy on that? Or
No, not the policy. It's just
reporting.
Reporting, yeah. So that communication channels, what are being used. If you're saying you're going to test, you're going to test blocking of this street in this particular week, that we are aware that that's going to happen, and then we can give insight into the comment.
Absolutely. What's going to happen after this focus group meetings? We're also going to meet other stakeholders. There's a lot of stakeholders involved. So we're going to meet with them as well and provide them with this, what's been discussed here. Then we're going to meet with the MRA, present this to the MRA at the AGM. Then we're going to have a public meeting scheduled in the beginning of August. We're going to have a public meeting presenting this thing to the open public again. And then only, after that, we're going to do that activation week, testing the options. So this Maple, that's all over and above all these other media reviews. It's going to be in the newspaper, it's going to be on the public meeting specifically. It's been advertised, we've already done that, it's been arranged, labeled there. Also on the radio, it's going to be...
On the radio, we're not sure, because the councillor is not in office now, so we're still having issues
but we're
of
trying even to do
communication.
that, So there's a lot happening. But there will be a public presentation on this before we test it.
So what we have been doing as part of that improving communication, we have established a Facebook page, and
that's called My Melville.
And everything that we put on there, whatever communication we would like to send out after every meeting, we also try and get it to MRA.
Yeah, they actually put it on their site.
MRA as well as the I think it's MSI. I'm not sure about MSI, but we do, and we also send out pamphlets after every workshop. We distribute pamphlets showing what was discussed in the previous meeting. So those are all the things that we've been trying to improve communication, and they will be ongoing. After the public meeting, before we can actually agree on the activation, we are going to have probably one or two, depending on how the community feels about it, more workshops to discuss the activation. So we won't decide on our own what is it that we will be testing. It will have to come out from the community what you agree should be tested. And we will try and communicate. I think our team also sends out individual emails as well.
Yeah, we try. That's why when we come to these kind of meetings, we kind of encourage everyone to give us their contact details. Because what I found when I was trying to send out the invite to this meeting is a lot of people just scribble and you can't see anything. And then it becomes difficult to try and send them emails. And there were fortunate few who wrote their numbers and I was able to call and ask for the emails. So when we have contact, it makes it much, much easier to send the information out.
Yeah. So, I
just remember next week, Tuesday and Wednesday.
Yeah. Are they?
We're going to meet here with 2 different focus groups, but everybody's welcome. Peter's been here every evening already. You know, he's been here to come to the meetings.
All right. Thank you very much for coming. If there aren't any other inputs, we hope to see you again next week.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Management plan.
Yes. So next week it's urban management